Excellent. Okay. Hi everybody. Merry Christmas. If you don't do Christmas, Merry Winter. Welcome to December's Bad Apple. I'm in a different place today, so every time I get a bit excited, my laptop's wobbling on my fake Chesterfield. I've got two amazing guests today. Like, genuinely, I'm really excited about the guests I've got. First up, we've got Joy France, then we've got Vic Richard. But let me tell you about Joy France. Joy France, Salford born, I think, she can correct me if I'm wrong, lives on the outskirts of Wigan, is one of the finest things to come out of the Northwest open mic scene. She's been on the nationwide adverts. Her beautiful face has been plastered and banks across the country, and now she's into battle rap. Oh yes, this is the one and only. It's Joy France. Welcome to the stage, Joy. You can turn your video on now. Yeah.
Hey there. Hiya. Nice to see you. Yeah, do the hands thing.
Oh, it's lovely to see you, Joy. Where are you? Where are you?
I'm in Affleck's. It reopened again today. And I'm in this weird room because I'm going to be doing a big exhibition about everything that's happened for the last 5 years in the creative space. So that's why there's all these weird post-it notes around and everything. So yeah, it's nice to be back in. Socially distanced, the room isn't open, but I've got this big room I can sit in.
Well, while you're in Affleck's, it would be lovely. So I know that you're like artist in residence at that space. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what's gone on there or what you're thinking about for the future?
Right, very briefly, I made up the title of creative in residence because I don't like being called I know artist can mean all sorts, but I still think about art and I can't draw. So yeah, I got it for 3 months with a free to rent space and just said come in and create, and people have done everything in it's been donated for free. So it's run for 5 years, and it's like having my own private little studio where amazing people wander by, like yourself, because I've still got the video of you doing your poem about how you used to bunk off school to come to Affleck's.
I did. Yeah. Affleck's is such a cult venue. It's such an important place in Manchester.
Yeah, it's at the heart of the culture, isn't it?
And that seems like such a long time ago, and we've known each other for quite a while, really, haven't we, Joy?
We have, because you're to blame. I put all the blame of where my life's gone on you, you know, because I sat down next to you, not knowing who it was, terrified, to a 1 hour poetry writing workshop, and you sort of introduced yourself, and you were a performance poet, and I hadn't got a clue what one was, and you invited me to to write something for something you were putting on, and I did, but it was my first time I've ever performed in front of people. I was utterly so quiet and shy, and yeah, your fault. This is where it's all gone this way.
I'm not going to take all the blame, Joy, but I do remember that workshop in Platt Bridge, and I remember you performing for the first time in the Museum of Wigan Life. And when I introduced you as a bit of a battle rapper, I bet and then you came on, battle rap?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey from that first workshop where you were quite nervous of showing your work to where you are now?
Yeah. It's a strange journey. I didn't wake up one day and think, I'm going to be a battle rapper. I didn't wake up one day and Control-Alt-Delete, suddenly I got confidence. It's slowly over all the years, but in my mid-50s when I started doing performance poetry, I started winning slams and things, and sort of stopped worrying about what people thought and decided to just see where it took me. And it's taken me to some very strange places. So the quick one is 3 months before I was 60, I decided to do 60 new things. And then what happened was, so I had 3 months to do it. And what I then did was, I got to 60 and I realised I've got loads of things on that list that I still wanted to do. So I tried to do 61 things before I turned 61. And when I was first in Affleck's, I did a poem that's got a bit of rhythm to it. It's all right, something fell, it wasn't me. And this woman wrote an article saying, Joy France, the rapping granny, if Eminem had a grandma, it'd be her. And I remember thinking, I don't think I like that. I don't know, is it an insult or whatever? And it started a whole chain of events that ended up with me actually becoming a proper official battle rapper, battling on leagues. And I was due to battle in New York in May, and obviously that got cancelled. So yes, from this quiet little mouse all my life to doing battle rap and things that would have terrified me. I'm on BBC Radio 4 on Saturday morning. That's going to be scary. So, you know, the thought of even doing anything like that was just ridiculous. So it's a big story. That's just a summary of it.
I know it's hard, isn't it? It's like so much has happened. Would you like to do as a poem, just so we can get a sense of? You mentioned you've been swimming this morning when we were talking before.
Yeah, the swimming baths are open. The swimming pools are open, but there's no classes. So I decided that I will do this poem because I've been swimming. It's amazing. And at the swimmers, I used to love doing the aqua zumba classes, and I was probably one of the youngest there. And this poem is written in the voice of a young woman who comes in, looks round and thinks, oh my God, you know, one of those women who, when they've exercised, they're not sweated and they've got the hair in place and the makeup and everything. So I just took her voice and wrote this. Okay. In they inch, worn bodies flinch, the water's not cold, but they're old, spent, bent back, stick stacked, a hobble of women's bodies exposed in ill-fitting causes. White bits normally covered by Cardi's glare, and I wonder what on earth I'm doing there. My first aqua zumba class is going to be my last. I'm used to exuberant instructors and pounding push yourself mantras, and I'm out of place amongst these empty shells. Then the music starts, and ironically, it's Pharrell's Happy. There'll be no instruction or warning, they follow her movement, and it's transforming. Their heads are high, they're grinning, they're beginning to look happy. The water's dipping, stripping, splashing off decades, and in sync they form a beautiful backdrop of Busby Berkeley babes. And the tempo changes. Salsa, boom, boom, booms, and they hit each beat, for they are a flock of white-haired jouncers. Some are floating twig-stick dancers. One leaps high and her belly bounces. The water laps. Another's flappy breasts slap on the surface like fish on a marble slab. Schlap, schlap. And here, in sisterhood and song, I see the joy of the livelong. And I give in, I join in, I start dancing like I did as a child. And in our liquid thrustings, we are what all women should be, vibrant and wild. Abandonment is our heartbeat, beat, beat, drum, beat, beat, beat. We are samba, merengue, mamba, soca. We turn like otters and tap like ginger. We are salmon leaping torso twisters. As the music eases, it's with us waving and swaying with all our might. Don't worry about a thing, because in that moment, every little thing is all right. A last note, a prick of hush, and they leave the pool in a chattering tide of buzz. And me, I want to hear them say, come join us, don't be alone. Let's go and dance our way home. Okay. Exercising. The group that I was talking to the manager, and this group of older women at the baths who do all the classes, they call any new member of staff, they tell them to look out for them, treat them well, because their nickname is the Mafia. You don't mess with them.
I love that poem as well, partly because in lockdown now, it sounds like aqua zumba would be a proper good, like, it's almost like a night out. You get to have a dance.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing. Yeah, real good social event.
And like at the beginning of the interview, you were saying, well, conversation or whatever, you were saying, oh, it's all your fault. But I'm finding, like, you're so inspiring to me, Joy, because all people have to age and it's just natural. So there's like really young poets starting out now. I'm sort of helping out a little bit. But when I look at the stuff that you've done, it makes me feel like, oh, it's not too late to do exciting and new things.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. I think it's really important that it's just good. I'm not saying it, oh, it's just really important. Like,
no. And of course I keep saying I blame you. You know, I'm eternally grateful. I would still be working and doing governor's note. I'd just be wearing myself to a bone without any creativity in my life. I can't imagine it anymore. You know, creativity is what I do in every way, shape or form, whether it is battle. We should have mentioned for the people who perhaps listening or watching, who haven't got a clue what battle rap is.
Yeah, go on, tell us what's battle rap, Joy.
I've tried to explain this in so many ways and I never quite get the rawness of it. You came along to an event, don't you? So you've got an idea of the absolute intent.
I loved it when I came. I definitely want to come to more. I had lots of fun.
Yeah, it's usually two people, usually two young men, battling against each other in, say, 3 rounds in the form of rap, trying to pick themselves up, put the opponent down, not choking. The ones I do, I don't do them on beat. Never say never, you know. But it's brutal. It's really, really tough. And I went in to do it once for real, just to prove to myself I could do it, but it was mainly to show that scene, which was everything I hated, that it could be done differently, and you know, somebody like me could do it okay. So I, you know, without any of the racism and the homophobia and the sexism and the, you know, because that's what so much of it in battle rap. And so what happened was I went and battled on a league, but I'd got a documentary crew following me. So it went up on YouTube, and I just thought, this is going to be the biggest car crash. You know, people are just going to watch this video and laugh at this stupid old woman having a go at something that she doesn't belong in. But what happened was, when I looked at the comments, people kept saying, "Joy's the goat, Joy's the goat." And I hadn't got a clue, because but it's apparently greatest of all time goat, which they didn't think I was, but they were giving me praise for having the guts to do it. And what I discovered was, yes, some of the battles may be really gross or whatever, but some of them are really clever wordplay, some are funny. But the most exciting thing is the community. The film has just been premiered, the documentary about me, has just been premiered at Edinbridge Film Festival.
Was it Northern Heart Films?
Northern Heart Films.
Yeah.
And it won the Viewers Award. But there's another film there, and it was about, it won an award, and it was about this young rapper called Lumo, who did a little bit of battle rap in Glasgow, who took his own life. And it's a beautiful, beautiful film. It really deserves to be seen. But the message of it was really saying that young men should talk about their feelings, their emotions, their mental health. Well, certainly in the Manchester scene, I've never known anywhere, in any groups I've ever been in, where people are utterly, young men say about how they're feeling, what their anxiety is like, what's eating them away, about, you know, whether it's an eating disorder or the inability to sleep or anything. And then people are there helping, and I do mean literally helping, not just giving advice. You know, meeting people up before events so they don't have to go in on their own, just rallying around, and when they know somebody's down, they, you know, making time to go and meet up and have a pint and a talk or whatever. It's fantastic.
Well, when I came to watch the one in Manchester,
the Battle venue. Yeah, that was a big venue. That's a big event. That was.
Was it what's it called, that venue? Is it?
It's at the.
It's on Oxford Road, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why.
We don't know. Yeah. Academy. Yeah. No. Anyway, whatever. When I came to Manchester to watch you, so that the crowd were largely men. There wasn't as many women, and they were largely younger-ish. Yeah. But actually, probably some people in the 30s as well. But and it looked like kind of a bit of a chav scene. So what I quite liked about it, from watching you perform, from talking to some people in the audience, and then from watching the documentary film that tracks that journey, which I've watched, and it's so good. Was that actually, like, chavs can get a bit of a bad name, and the term, in terms of the wordplay and the kindness that you saw, there was so much of it, and I thought, actually, we should, like, be celebrating working class boys and young women.
I mean, first of all, it isn't entirely, there are lawyers that battle, architects. It's quite an amazing, diverse, or go to events. But on the whole, it is working class, and it's very different in different areas. There's a big scene in Birmingham, in London, right across the world, and there's very different feelings and things. So I can only really talk about the ones that I've been to and the people I know. One of the amazing places, I battled twice in Dublin, and I always drop that in because that makes me an international battle rapper, and I just love saying that because it's so ridiculous. Yeah. But there's a different feel and a different vibe, but certainly, there's a large percentage who've been to prison or have had all sorts of problems and things like that. But it's a place where they can be themselves, and where people genuinely. I'm not endorsing the whole of the scene. In any scene, there are people who I don't like,
Yeah.
But generally, away from the battles, if somebody is racist or whatever, no, they get jumped on for it. It's just not allowed. It's a fascinating world for me as somebody who, I used to be a teacher, and now I do all these things with words. is this conflict between freedom of expression to be able to say what you want, and then the responsibility that comes with that, and the freedom for people not to be offended. And watching how the whole, in the time I've been going, that issue, there's some unwritten rules, like you don't, in a battle, bring somebody's kids into it and things like that. But you could do it, but you would get a load of people really, you know, you wouldn't be very popular at all. So it's really fascinating how this scene develops. And
because I think like there's not a lot of women doing it, really, is there? And there's definitely not a lot of older people doing it. So you're in kind of tiny little square of older women. Is there only you?
Currently, somebody pointed out recently, I am the only female battler that's active in this country.
Oh, that's so bad. Joy keeps saying to me, and like Genevieve Walsh and a few other different poets, why don't you have a go? Why don't you have a go? And I'm a bit like, oh, I like the idea of it, but I don't normally like slag people off in my poems, or like, but when I watch it, it's funny and it's clever, and it's a bit like where comedy meets poetry meets rap, and I love a bit of hip hop. So who knows? I've got my little scarf in.
You're really not sure. There's a thing called compliment battles where you've got to outrageously compliment the other person, and some of them are so funny. You know, can you imagine how you go over the top with that? It's there's some really funny ones. Yeah, I mean, the whole atmosphere on the day is very testosterone filled. It's not female friendly, but there are other ways. There are, in America, there's Queen of the Ring, which is an all-female league, and it's
so interesting. It's like another world. It's just really exciting that you're in it. Joy, do you fancy doing a little bit of one of your things?
Yeah, I'd like to do. Right, when I had my first battle, it was against a guy called Blunt Ted, and that's up on YouTube. If you're not easily offended, don't watch it while the kids are around. The battle's up there. There's some others up there, but that was my first one, and you can see how terrified I was. But I did have a little friendly practice one with a guy called Damani. I don't know whether you've come up, you'll have seen him in the film. He's a lovely guy. He was at university at the time, poet from Birmingham, who let slip that while he was at school, he'd done a bit of battle rap. So I said, look, if I'm going to try and do this, you know, can we do a battle then? So we did a battle for real outside Affleck's, and you know, got about week's preparation, and then I battled, and then from there I managed to get this real battle, because it just didn't. I know I'd battled a friend in a place. I knew I hadn't stepped into that world that what I thought was everything I hated. So I did this. I did my first round to him. And the annoying thing, unlike in poetry and music, once you've written something, you can't use it again, it's gone. So I thought, no, I'm going to turn this into a piece of stand-up comedy. So I perform the first part of the first round. I sometimes perform it as a panda with a panda mask on. And I'm going
with a panda mask. Yeah, of course, right.
Of course, yeah. But this is just, you get a flavour of the sort of thing, and I've turned this into, it's not quite rap, but it's more stand-up comedy meets rap meets poetry. Okay, you got to imagine the poor lad's face at the end of this. Okay, you're a jumped-up pup, a wannabe. You want the words and the moves of Muhammad Ali, but you sting like a butterfly, float like a bee. You can't touch me. I'm Joy, and you're just a naughty little boy. You Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you got the swagger of Jagger, now up there or down there, and all the bullshit of Tony fucking Blair. Yes, you made me swear, but the rep's being ripped by an old woman with grey hair. And you say you're going to be famous, drive a bikini car. I say, no, you're more pot noodle, not beluga caviar. A megabus will always be your ride, and besides, I've already booked your hide nationwide. Because I'm a high-speed train with the late-night replacement bus. Difference between us, I've got guts, you make a fuss over paper cuts. I'm rich roasted coffee, you're gold blend, and it's me that's got the balls and you that's the bell end. Because I'm stronger than the Great Wall of China, so come on, take a swipe like you do when you're on Tinder or use Grindr. And if you still think you're hard, here's a reminder. I've pushed a 10-pound child out of my vagina, and I've just destroyed you by putting that image inside you.
Mic drop. Joy's got bars. Nice work.
It was hilarious. It was like, you know what she just said? Yeah.
Oh, what fun. Like, and also, like, you've been talking about the battle rap stuff, which is kind of exciting and new and, like, bonkers in a way, you know, but also, like, you had some success and you got on the nationwide adverts. Tell us a bit about how that was for you.
Yeah, it was part of I was doing 6 New Things Before 60, and they asked, and I managed to get it. And I've been asked to do adverts for other people, and I've said no. You know, if the Sun asks, do I want to do it? The answer is no. Certain banks, no. But actually, they treat their poets really well, and don't ask us to write anything. They either like it or they don't like it, and they pay for the process, and then you're successful or not. So I've had a few on. And I think it's hilarious because there's so much trolling. You know, I look for them. I go online and try and see what people have said about me, because I just think it's all material for some sort of comedy or something. You know, oh my God, that woman's voice, it's like putting your fingernails down a blackboard, or, you know, did she not open her eyes when she got dressed this morning? It's just full of the most ridiculous things. But I got one on during lockdown, which was nice. And it's all...
Oh, Joy, it's muted. I don't know why. Can you see? This is how you know it's live, guys.
Muted. Am I still going?
You're fine now. It's working again.
Oh, right.
So you were looking at all the evil comments that people have put on. Go on.
Yeah, and I suppose it's good preparation for battle rap, because you've got to be able to take everything that people are throwing at you. And by God, the battles I've had, some of them have gone really hard. In the Blunt Ted thing, shall I tell you his first words to me?
Yeah, go on.
And you have said I can swear and things, but it gives you an idea.
You can swear.
Yeah, his first words to me was, your fanny's fucking clapped. Clip like a carrot, and down by your knees are your flaps. They were the opening words that I had to learn. So it's just...
I'm for some reason I'm totally unshockable. I don't want to be. I just very little shocks me. So I love anything like that. But I know so many people will be watching and going, "That's disgusting. How can he say that to you? This is horrible." You know, and be really not happy about it. How do you feel in that situation?
Yeah, I hadn't met him before, but I said to the league, I want somebody who's going to do it for real. I don't want anybody who's going to hold back. You know, if I'm doing it, I want to experience it. You know, I don't want somebody who's going to be, you know, patting me on the head and, yeah, condescending or the butt of jokes. So I just wanted to see if I could do it. And when I went, there's ones I've done in Ireland. In fact, every one I've ever done, each one of them has come really hard, seriously hard. The one that I did earlier this year, was against a guy from Canada who used to live in London, and he went back to Canada because he got cancer and people thought he died. But essentially he was a year cancer free. So he came back to London to battle. And then afterwards he came over and asked would I battle him. And I just looked at him, and the first bar that came in my head was something along the lines of, so, you know, Make-A-Wish Foundation, it's not, you know, it's not for grown-ups, and you're supposed to do it before you're ill, not after. You know, battling me was your answer or something. So I just said to him, it's battle rap. You know, I will come hard with as many cancer bars as I can fit in. And he said, yes, that's what I want. I want to be able to feel like I'm alive. You know, I want to, you know, have that rawness. So I knew that, he knew that, but the rest of the room didn't know that. So when I started off, his name was Omar, and said something like, right, quite early on, what rhymes with bars for Omar? Carcinoma, you know, and I'm going to do what cancer couldn't achieve. I'm going to leave your parents, family and friends bereaved. And the rest of the room just went, oh, like, what did she just say? But you see, the beauty of this is, because it is entertainment, by the time I got to the end, I got the whole room to say, you know, what, you know, cancer's, you know, how awful it is and how much I admired him. And I got the whole room to join in and say, cancer can poke my home, which is kiss my ass. So they all, you know, it's a bit of drama. It's a bit like wrestling. It's fascinating stuff.
It's own total art form in that sense, isn't it?
It really is. And in some parts of the world, people make a load of money out of doing this as well. It's really, it can be very lucrative.
I know, like, and there's not many women doing it. Cha-ching, cha-ching. No, and so
yeah, nobody in the world ever. I've been researching, I've been asking. There hasn't ever been a woman of my age doing it ever that anybody can find.
World first for Lawton.
Honestly, yeah.
John,
not doing anybody any.
About doing in the future then? What's in your 5-year plan? Do you know what exciting things do you want to do in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I have some plans, and that's really strange because normally I don't plan. Normally I just roll through life and see where which shore I land on, and that's the one where I do. But COVID's put a bit of a, spike to every balloon I had has got popped. So I've been thinking about what is it I want to do, and what I'd love to do. I would get really excited when I think about this. The Northern Heart films were so amazing. They put time and effort. They tried to understand what it was about. They could have misrepresented and made it sensational. They didn't. So what I would love to do is get some funding for them, the two of them, plus me, plus a young battler. It could be Dimani, it could be Blunttedos, whatever. And we would go to New York, where I was meant to be going. But they would make it into a feature or a series of shorts where I would talk to some old hip hop heads who I've got some links with, who used to be big in the day, explore the scene. I was meant to be battling a woman in New York, so follow that. And then do like a mini adventure when COVID lets us travel. But me exploring, so it's more of a documentary, seeing what questions do I want answering about this, like in America, gun bars are really big. I'm going to get my gun, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's, I find them boring. Especially when people do them in this country, I think it looks stupid. But I really do want to understand more about the whole of this scene, where it came from, where it's going. So I think there's 100, like one of the exciting things in this country, and I don't think it's happening in America yet. Earlier this year, quite a few battlers came out as being gay, bi, pan, or whatever. And it was fantastic because the reaction from everybody was just amazing, as it should be. And it's, they're going to use it against them in the battle, but in real life, and there's so much there to explore.
Joy, you could be like the Louis Theroux of battle rap.
Yeah, because he stepped into battle rap. You'd have to look that up.
Oh, I've not watched that. I didn't know he'd done that.
A long time ago, but yeah.
You do it better. You do it better.
But yeah, I love people and things, and there's so many stories, so many people I've met, either in athletics or through poetry or through battle rap or whatever, who absolutely inspire me every day. Just the way they're getting through life. They've got so much to deal with, and yet they're keeping going, and they're finding, solace through the music or whatever. I'm lucky. I've reached, because the government's moved it, I've not actually retired yet, but I've reached an age where I can have a lot more freedom. But people have got responsibilities and kids and things, and there's some amazing people, and their stories need to be shared, especially after COVID and things.
But no, let's not bother about all the people who are still at that stage in their life. As we finish the interview now, Joy, have you got anything you'd like to say to any other people who are approaching retirement and wondering what to do with themselves?
I saying this to everybody, not just all the people who are retiring. Like, you get a lot of people who think they're past it at 30, or the best days are past them, or they're trying to cram everything in because, God, I won't be able to do it when I'm 50. Age, it really is a number. It's an attitude, and the minute, whatever age you are, you can stop being anxious about the voices in your head telling you that you're going to be rubbish. And you actually step into another world, into another area that's not your safe little bubble, then that's where the magic happens. That's where you find out more about yourself, and you're changing your views on the world the whole time. And I think anybody, it is, all right, we can't go anywhere we want at the moment, but we will be able to. But it's so easy to just stay in, as be an old lady in a rocking chair with my slippers on and knitting. And equally, some youngster could be just sat at home and not have the courage to go out and do things. And yeah, there's so much out there to try and to experience, and to it's such a waste if you don't try it. But
I think
if you're happy staying at home and being in your rocking chair and knitting and things, that's fine. I'm not telling you don't, but if you've got that feeling that there could be more to life, then go and look for it.
I think you put your finger on it when you said about magic. if you need some magic in your life, then it's not too late. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Joy, for coming and being interviewed. Thank you for broadcasting live from Afflex. So Afflex is open, go and shop there, you know, COVID safe and all that. Thank you for coming and sharing your amazing stories with us. I'll be watching where your journey goes next, and hopefully I'll see you soon in real life.
I can't wait to see what your guest that's coming on next is one of my favourites. And actually, if I'd have thought about it, I shouldn't have had to ask, can I swear? Because if you've got Thick Richard on, I don't think he's ever done a performance with it that hasn't got a swear word in it somewhere, has he?
No, he's not. Okay, so we're going to go to the break now, and then after the break, we'll have Thick Richard. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Don't disappear, because he's on next. And thanks so much, Joy.
No, thank you.
See. Hello and welcome back to December's edition of Bad Apple. It's a talk show with writers about writing and that kind of thing. Those of you who were watching before the break might have done a bit of a spot the difference. If you haven't spotted the difference, you need to watch it again, don't you? Okay, so I'd like to introduce my second guest. It is the one and only Thick Richard. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Thick Richard has been peddling his potty mouth poetry up and down the country for the last 16 years. I might call him a punk poet. He might not call himself a punk poet. Maybe we'll talk about that. If you don't like swearing, turn it off. You're not going to like this. If you might like swearing, watch it, because he's funny, he's acerbic, he's quite cynical, he's just a nice guy, really. Let's welcome to the stage, it's Thick Richard. Thick Richard, turn on your camera.
Hello, Internet. How you doing?
Hello. Look at us with a matching geometric wallpaper.
I've gone for the more vagina-y design.
We all love a vagina.
Yeah.
Nice to see
It was
that.
able to fit in, really. It wasn't our choice. It was, features.
Oh, was it? That's a shit. Well, whatever. I think you should keep it. Are you keeping it?
Yeah, we're taking it with us when we go. Yeah,
Knocking it down.
steam it off the wall. Yeah.
My friend Joanne, she said when her dad bought his first house, which was a tiny 2-up down in Abram, when he got in, the people who sold the house had taken out light fittings out, the switches.
Selfish bastards. That's illegal, that. It's illegal. I heard it was illegal to move house and take the light bulbs. So to take the fittings is bang out of order.
I don't know anything about the legalities of it, but it's not very nice, is it? Okay, let's move on. So, Thick Richard, how come that's your name?
I'm usually quite arsey about telling people that, but I like you, so I'm not bothered. It's years and years ago. It was my mate Robert who came up with the idea, the name, because we used to be a double act. Thick Richard wasn't one person; it was two of us. And it was 21 years ago, actually, not 16. That must have been an old biog that you got that from.
That's off your website, so that says last time you updated it.
I don't think I've ever seen my website since someone else helped me make it. Yeah, maybe I should sort that out. But yeah, 1999 till about 2007, Thick Richard was a double act. And it sounds a bit penisy, which is always funny. So, that's good. some people think it had to do with dyslexia, because I'm dyslexic, but that's nothing to do with it. My mate Robert got it off the side of a bottle of ketchup. On the side of Heinz ketchup, it used to say thick, rich, and delicious. Oh. And he liked that and thought that it was a good description of the sort of material we did. So that's where it came from.
That is actually a good story. And like for a long time when I was like doing like gigs either with you or just watching you, I thought your name was Richard. So like I would just call you Richard. And even then your actual name, Matt, did not stick in my head for quite some time. But
I think most people know me as Richard. And you can change your name. You don't have to go through default to change your name if you can prove that most people that you know call you by another name. But then a lot of them think that Richard's my second name and that I was actually christened Thick.
Awkward. Like I said earlier, because now it seems to be like I'm just saying things about you that are untrue. I said about earlier that like you're a bit of a punk poet. Would you say you're a punk poet?
I suppose so. Yeah. There's not many gigs going on lately, but a lot of the gigs that I do are mostly like band gigs. Not like, they've been made illegal, but they have now. Yeah, band gigs.
Band.
So, like, music gigs. And they're my favourite crowd and kind of what I started out doing.
Why are they your favourite crowd? Because when I perform like at a music festival, basically, everyone's drunk. They don't really listen. Well, they do listen a bit, when I'm amazing. But do you know what I mean? It's like a bit more like they don't give you any, like they don't listen nicely. Why do you like them?
Because they don't listen nicely. You got to kind of like, grab them, and they either end up like enjoying themselves or really pissed off. So then that's where the kind of punk poetry thing exists, I suppose, because if you've got half the audience like really enjoying it and then a quarter of them hating you and then the other quarter so off the face that they're still dancing and think that there's a band still playing, yeah, they're the best crowds. Yeah.
Winner. Because that's how John Cooper Clarke started, I think, like going on in between the acts. And I remember one time we were at Kendall Calling and there'd been a bit of confusion around where we were going to perform, and you just went traipsing around all the stages, didn't you, asking could you go on in between the acts?
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah. That's how it's done.
That's cool. It's cool, I like that. While we've been going on about you, do you want to do a poem?
Go on then.
Oh,
this one's from my new book called Read 'em and Weep. And it's called Bango's Life. This is like the opposite of punk poetry.
And this is just like me and you, isn't it? Awkward.
I don't know when anybody's watching this, but it's this is the Sunday afternoon slot, and this isn't usually, when I'm booked in, and I've got a cup of tea.
And like when you was going, I started in 1999, I thought to myself, God, you look about 12. Like, my creative juices were not flowing in 1999. I don't really know. I was at uni, actually, so I was just... Anyway, whatever. It's not about me, is it? It's about you.
Right, this is called Bango's Life. Bango's life like a poke in the eye, isn't it nice to be alive? Bango's life like a kick in the windpipe, isn't it nice to be alive? Because you're a sweaty, ugly, fucking disgusting, unbelievably bloody, lovely, stinking, wrinkling body and mind, and isn't it nice to be alive? Bango's life like a fork of lightning, thunder fucking the ground. Bango's life, and wasn't it frightening? We didn't even have a chance to write it all down, how it all started, and who farted, and nobody wants to leave the party with a goodie bag full of nasty surprises, but isn't it nice to be alive? Bango's life, it's fucking relentless, it's colourful, it's fast, and it's loud. Bango's life, and it is not endless, and unfortunately there's only one way out, but it's Hollywood blood, it's just ketchup. We've seen it in the film, so it doesn't upset us, so don't worry, mummy, I'm desensitised and I barely realise I'm alive. Moody and bad-tempered like a film noir detective, I slick back my devil's horns and walk amongst you undetected. BL people eater with a grinning mouthful of fangs, but don't think that I can just rewind time back to the moment that life went bang goes life like a punch in the mind. Isn't it shite to be alive? Bang goes life like a fist up the shite pipe. Isn't it brilliant being alive? And to think out of one spurt of 5 billion sperms, you were the fucker who got there first. Pop goes life into an old sock belly wipe. It's a fucking miracle we survived. And it hurts. Oh, there are no words to describe the migraine that lasts eternal. So go forth and maybe try to not so quickly multiply, but the bang of life is sure satisfying. Life finds a way without even trying, and then it just dies. But during the meantime, isn't it nice to be alive? Thank you very much.
At home, you can clap and cheer. Come on, get a bit of atmosphere going on in your front rooms. Woo, 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 woo. Oh, nice. Hey, do you know what? That was remarkably upbeat for you, Vic Richard.
Yeah. Nice being alive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a feel-good one, that. Feel good.
That time I wrote one which isn't all about death. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I love your work anyway, because, like, I think one of the nice things about being around since 1999 is that whatever your voice is, it's your voice. Like, so many people start doing poetry and that, and they like copy each other's sounds and stuff. And whereas like you actually feel just very much you and not like anyone else really, to me. Don't know. Have people compared you to other poets?
Well, John Cooper Clarke a lot, but then I said to John Cooper Clarke, it ain't my fault, because if you do fast-paced poetry with a sort of lot of wordplay in a humorous vein, in a Mancunian accent, then you're going to sound like John Cooper Clarke, innit? And then,
go on.
If I had a West Country accent and I did poetry with a lot of like innuendo in it, I'd sound like Pam Ayres. So, it's, you know, one way or the other.
Like, and I'm not being funny, but like when I first started doing poetry, people said to me, "Oh, you're like John Cooper Clarke," and I thought, I'm nothing like John Cooper Clarke. I think that they only said it because that was the only poet they'd heard of.
That's the thing, yeah. Everybody's going to get... If you say your poetry out loud, people will probably think you sound like John Cooper Clarke.
And I'd never heard of John Cooper Clarke when they said that to me, though, so I kept nodding because I thought, I know it's like a compliment, but obviously I've heard of him now and that. But the other thing that reminded me of is, ages and ages ago, I don't know if you remember this, Matt, I had this crazy idea that we could be a poet tribute act. And I don't know if I took...
Yeah, I remember you saying that, yeah. It was going to be like stars in their eyes. Yeah,
because when you work in like arts venues who you book bands, often we book a lot of tribute bands because people like tribute bands and it's a good night out. And I thought we should have a tribute poet, and I thought you would be tribute to John Cooper Clarke. I could be tribute to Pam Ayres. I was up for it. And Toria Garbutt wanted to be tribute to Sylvia Plath.
Nice.
That would have been good. Well, it could have been good.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'd have done more of a visual John Hegley, I think.
Oh yeah, because you do look a little bit more like... You could have done both. It could have been like when you get an 80s club singer and they do a bit of Alison Moyet and then they do a bit of Tina.
Yeah. But
without the like swapping race, because both John Hegley and John Cooper Clarke are kind of white men, so that's okay. All right. And Matt, like, why do you write and perform? What do you do it for?
Originally, because me and Bob, who I was in the double act with, we were in a band with a load of people who were actually the band, like, you know, we didn't play any instruments or sing or nothing, we just like dossed around with them. And then the band split up, and all I did was write the lyrics, I didn't perform anything, and he organised the gigs. And then we just turned up with the band and just got smashed on stage and like tossed about. So when the band split up, me and Robert wanted to carry on performing. So it was his idea to just do the lyrics without the band, which seemed like a fucking really original idea at the time. And then when we started doing it, it turned out that it was just poetry, and we fell into the poetry. That was how we ended up doing it. There was no, you know, I never intended on it happening. And it was a bit of a shock realising that, you know, and going to poetry nights, because in the late 90s, poetry nights were pretty fucking dry.
Yeah.
And so we started trying to seek out band nights and comedy nights and stuff. But then the spoken word bit, because of like, you know, being dyslexic and stuff, I think there's a lot of dyslexic performance poets because it cuts that corner of, you know, having to write so much because a lot of it's done from memory. And you don't have to worry about people actually reading your stuff because you're performing it and you're saying it to them. So I think I fell into it, like, you know, pretty easily because of that side of things. And also it's just top doing gigs all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is fun. Like, because you quite like a piss up, don't you?
It's nice having a job where there's a bar pretty much in every room that I work in. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a bit of a party poet, aren't you?
Yeah, I've taken it easy this year though. Super easy.
Like,
And I tell you what, I'm not really missed festivals. It's been a nice year off of festivals because I think for the first 5 years doing a festival every year was top. And then it got to like a sort of about 5 festivals a year. And then for the last 15 years, I've been trying to have a year off. You know, I've 1 year where I don't have to like wake up in a bag or outside. And I managed to do it this year. So it's been, I'm happy to get back on them as soon as possible, but it's been nice to like wake up in my own bed every day.
I think that's the beauty of having a year off, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do as many festivals as you because I'm not, but like, I was a bit like, I'm not going to any festival. I'm not paying to go to any festival. I got to the point where I'm like, I'm not paying to go to any festival. I'm only going to go to the ones where they boot me. But then it means you don't really get to see the bands you necessarily want to see. So
Yeah,
like,
it's a bit pop luck that side of it, isn't it?
yeah. So I'm a bit like, next year I am going to pay to go to some festival so I actually get to see something that I want to see.
You get booked for a festival when they've not announced the lineup yet, and you don't want to go, well, who's on before I say yeah. But then yeah, you just have to kind of wait and see, keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah, and the weird thing about performing at festivals is you don't often get paid, do you? You often get a free ticket and a rider, like a sausage butty or something, you know, like a token for some food. And then you've got to persuade your friends to come so you have a good time. Or you have to be friends with the other poets.
Yeah. It's about breaking even most of the time.
Yeah, and like with book sales. So you've got a new book out, haven't you? So that was Read 'em and Weep.
Read 'em and Weep. There it is.
Who's done your artwork? I like it.
It was Danny, who does most of my videos and stuff, and Jacob, my son, took the photograph and like sorted it all out because he does sort of he's doing media at college, so I gave him a job.
Oh, he's done a good job of it though. It looks. When I was looking at it before, I thought, oh, this is a good cover. Well, I'll put the link in the chat and everything so they know where to buy the book, and also
send them to me. Send them to me. You know, I get along with my publisher and all that kind of stuff. But if you buy them direct, I get all the cash. So yeah,
I'll send them direct to you when we finish talking. In that, I'll make sure I get the right details. That's the other little known world about the nature of poetry books. You do make more money if you buy them direct from the poet. So it's just, I mean, we love our publishers, otherwise we won't get published, would we? But we kind of want you to buy the books off us.
Well, usually there's no worry about it because it's the trade from gigs, in it. But that's fucking gone. So yeah,
I know.
Come to me.
Do you want to do us another poem out your book?
Go on then. This is more of a reedy one. So if anybody who bought my first book, there was a letter of complaint in there to Nestle Roundtrees regarding their randoms sweeps. And in this book, just before it went to print, I had another beef with Nestle. So I've written a second complaint to Nestle in this book. You should write complaints to Nestle as often as possible, really. And this one's regarding their multi-pack of Rolos, which when you buy them, on the front of the packet, it's asked the question, do you love anyone enough? Now, this is referring to an ad campaign in the 80s and 90s that asked, do you love anyone enough to give them your last Rolo, suggesting that Rolos are such a special product that if you were to sacrifice your last Rolo to somebody, then it must mean that they're a very significant person in your life. But that advert's not been on the telly for at least 20 years. So without that immediate cultural reference, I found them to be most upsetting. And this is the letter of complaint that I've sent. Dear Rolo, I bought a multi-pack of your Rolos from Quality Save about 4 months ago, which has subsequently caused me such introspective distress that I have only just begun to feel emotionally capable of sending this message. Initially, I had planned on eating the sweets when I had returned home from the shops. Sat on the couch in front of the telly, I opened them, but before I could eat one, I noticed a question on the front of the packet in a lettering not much smaller than the product name itself, asking, "Do you love anyone enough?" My hand that was holding the Rolo I was about to eat slowly lowered from my lips as I whispered out loud the question to myself so as I could truly understand exactly what the chocolates were asking. Do I love anyone enough? They were not simply asking, do I love anyone? A question already incredibly inappropriate for a packet of sweets to be asking. No, the Rolos were quite specifically asking if I loved anyone enough, a question that most adults would not even begin to contemplate until they experience the loss of a close family member and the inevitable feelings of regret that bereavement brings. So to say the asking of this question was unexpected is a huge understatement. But if you must know, after much heartbreaking deliberation, I have concluded that no, I do not, or have not yet, ever loved anyone enough. The Rolos have forced me to recognise the cold, emotionless wall that I have allowed to build around myself, intended to protect me from the harshness of the world, but which has instead left me incapable of ever truly understanding the possibly mythical notion of love. Once the tears subsided, I found myself wondering, why would a company choose to place such a staggeringly melancholic thought in the minds of their customers about to enjoy their product? If it's really necessary of you to collect such data from your consumers, would a phone call not be more appropriate? I understand that an email or social media might come across a little frosty, but to ask such questions via a packet of sweets is frankly outrageous and downright bewildering. The idea of returning to these packet of sweets is still too painful for me to consider. They remain uneaten on the arm of my couch, gathering dust, unloved, you could even say. But in return for the response that you so bluntly asked for, you could perhaps explain to me why. Why was all this pain necessary? What have you gained from this knowledge? What do you plan to do with this information now you have obtained it? And why are the packets half the size that they were 10 years ago? Kind regards, Thick Richard. Thank you very much.
Woo!
Fuck Nestle.
I think that's one of the good things about doing the performances in your front room on a Sunday afternoon with a cup of tea, is that like people like you actually get through all that when and I can hear all the words, you know, rather than being like someone shoves me with a pie. I'm like, fucking listen.
Yeah.
I don't normally swear because my mum watches, but I just swore then. I know you're not bothered about my mum. What reminded me is when you were saying that as well, I was just thinking about how your wallpaper looks a little bit like a Rolo.
It's nice to know you were paying attention.
But I thought you might know that when I thought I'd tell you that. Like, I was listening.
What about the wallpaper? What was it?
It looks a little bit like a deconstructed Rolo.
Oh, right, yeah. I see what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? Like
if they made Rolos on MasterChef and it was like, because they fanny around with everything, don't they? The
deconstructed Rolo MasterChef challenge, but in wallpaper. Like Sky Artist of the Year, kind of nice. Sorry about that. I'm going off on one now. What else I want to say to you? Because our time's coming to an end. That's gone quick, hasn't it?
Oh, bloody hell, has it?
Yeah, we're nearly up, you know. Like, have you got? And this might seem like an absolute stupid question now, and I feel like it is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Have you got anything coming up? Has anyone got any online gigs or like? Because people are getting a bit excited now, aren't they? Vaccines out. They're thinking about like May. People are sending me invites to things where I think, is this going to happen?
I know. Yeah. There's I'm supporting the Lovely Eggs on tour, which was supposed to be It was supposed to be this April. So obviously that went out the window pretty quick. And then it's been rescheduled 3 times so far. And it's due to happen, I think, next June.
That'll happen, I think. I'm going to get me...
I can't remember the dates because it's been changed that often, but I think it's next June. I'm pretty sure.
I'll have a look online, and if I can find the link, I'll put it in the chat app, because I want to see that, because I've only recently been introduced to the lovely eggs, because I'm behind in everything. Do you know what I mean?
I am Morons, bloody brilliant album, isn't it? Yeah, really good.
So good and so funny, and so I really want to see that. I want to see you support the lovely eggs, and I want to see our kid when he does his next tour. That's kind of like, I'll be excited about that next year.
Everyone's waiting, aren't they? Everyone's like, as soon as they open.
I'm a bit worried though, because this year's been dead still, that next year people are going to be trying to cram everything in, and then it'll be just too much.
Who knows?
Who knows? That's a depressing thought end on. Sorry about that, everybody. Shall we finish off our little chat with a final poem from you, Thick Richard?
Okay. God, don't know. After that, they're all quite longer or more glumness.
Do what you want. Well, I'll talk at the end and bring the mood up. It's fine. Okay. There's not many in it that are lockdown poems, because I wanted to try and avoid the subject, because, fucking hell, everybody's had enough of it, haven't they? So yeah, but anyway, here's a lockdown poem because I'm a hypocrite. Written slightly in the style of Victoria Wood. This is called Sickly Sex. I don't mind sickly sex, although it is pathetic. It goes well with whiskey and lemon and makes me feel better. On the froth, I could produce enough mucus to fill a bucket. A runny nose would look fit as fuck if you could fuck it. And although the thought may be enough to turn most people's stomachs, I can think of nothing but as I sweat and grunt beneath the covers. I don't mind sickly sex. In lightly shitted kecks. The thought might make you retch, but retching it gets me a wreck. What else is there for us to do now we've been quarantined by the government for catching an incurable disease? It looks like it's got you on your knees. Look like you should either come or sneeze. You can keep your poxy STDs. They ain't got nothing on me, babe, because all I need is that filthy, dirty, occasionally regurgitating, contagious, outrageous, seriously sickly sex. Cheers. Woo!
Bye.
Oh, bye.
Bye, everybody.
Stage. See you soon. Thanks for that. Goodbye.
See you later. Woo.
If you've enjoyed watching the Old Courts live and you'd like to make a donation to support the work we do, please head over to www.theoldcourts.com/donate. This year's been incredibly difficult for most arts organisations, and we're no different. But with a huge effort and support from you and from our funders, we've managed to secure our organisation and the jobs of every staff member. We've also provided 343 artists with paid work for the Old Courts Live. And our volunteers have delivered over 700 food parcels and made 600 calls to isolated local residents. But the battle isn't over yet. We're currently closed to the public with zero income, and we don't know how long this closure is going to last. If you can help by making a donation, then you're helping to secure your arts centre